Deep within the heart of East Africa, where the horizon extends beyond imagination, a culture of unparalleled vibrancy and enduring resilience has flourished for countless centuries. Step into the world of the most famous tribe in Kenya, the Maasai. The Maasai, a prominent Nilotic ethnic group, call central and southern Kenya their home. They also live in northern Tanzania. Internationally renowned, they owe their fame to their proximity to the bountiful game parks of the African Great Lakes region and their distinct customs and attire. Rooted in the Nilotic language family, the Maasai communicate through the Ma language, sharing linguistic ties with the Samburu, Dinka, Kalenjin, and Nuer languages. As of the 2019 census, the Maasai population in Kenya numbered close to 1.2 million individuals. Remarkably, the Maasai are among the select few tribes who have faithfully preserved their traditions, lifestyle, and ancestral wisdom. Much like the wildlife in which they share their habitat, the Maasai require vast expanses of land to sustain their way of life. Distinguished from many other Kenyan tribes, the Maasai lead a semi-nomadic and pastoral existence, their livelihood revolving around the herding of cattle and goats. According to their oral history, the Maasai originated from the lower Nile Valley north of Lake Turkana and began migrating south around the 15th century. They arrived to a long landmass stretching from what is now northern Kenya to central Tanzania between the 17th and late 18th century. During the mid-19th century, the Maasai territory expanded to its greatest extent, enveloping nearly the entirety of the Great Rift Valley and the surrounding lands. Their domain stretched from Mount Marsabit in the north to Dodoma in the south. At this zenith of their territorial influence, the Maasai, who were part of the broader Nilotic group, practiced cattle herding, extending their pastoral lifestyle as far east as Tanga Coast in Tanganyika, which is now mainland Tanzania. Their reputation was formidable, not just for their skill with spears and shields, but also for their mastery of throwing clubs, known as orinka, which they could accurately hurl from distances exceeding 70 paces, which is well over 30 meters. However, the early 20th century brought significant changes. In 1904, a treaty was enforced, followed by another in 1911, resulting in a staggering 60% reduction of Maasai lands in Kenya. The British, seeking to make way for settler ranches, forcefully evicted the Maasai, ultimately confining them to the present-day regions of Samburu, Laikipia, Kajiado, and Narok counties. In parallel, the Maasai communities living in Tanganyika, which now is mainland Tanzania, were forced to relinquish their fertile lands situated between Mount Meru and Mount Kilimanjaro, as well as the bountiful highlands near Ngorongoro, primarily during the 1940s. Further land appropriations occurred to establish wildlife reserves and national parks, including the Amboseli National Park, Nairobi National Park, the Maasai Mara National Reserve, the Samburu National Reserve, Lake Nakuru National Park, and Tsavo National Park in Kenya, as well as the Manyara, the Ngorongoro Conservation Area, Tarangire, and Serengeti National Park in Tanzania. The Maasai people have always maintained their pastoralist way of life and resisted the government pressures from both Kenya and Tanzania to adopt a more sedentary lifestyle. They have persistently sought grazing rights in many of the national parks in both countries. Today, Maasai lands are recognized for hosting some of East Africa's most exceptional game areas. Notably, the Maasai society never condoned human trafficking, and those seeking to enslave people deliberately avoided the Maasai communities. Throughout their nomadic and semi-nomadic history, the Maasai have relied on ingenuity, local resources, and indigenous techniques to create their shelters. The traditional Maasai homestead, designed with mobility in mind, bears a transient character. These dwellings, crafted by skilled Maasai women, take on an either somewhat rectangular form with extensions or a circular shape. The structural foundation consists of timber poles firmly anchored in the earth, interwoven with a lattice of slender branches. To weatherproof the structure, a mixture of mud, sticks, grass, cow dung, and ash is meticulously applied. The inclusion of cow dung serves the essential purpose of ensuring the roof's impermeability. These homes, often referred to as enkaji or enkaji, are modest in size, measuring roughly 10 by 15 feet with a standing height of just 5 feet. Within this compact space, the families cook, eat, sleep, socialize, and store their food, fuel, and various household belongings. Small livestock also frequently find shelter within the enkaji. The Maasai villages are enclosed within a circular fence called the enkang, an architectural feature crafted by the men, usually using thorned acacia, a native tree species. Under the moonlit sky, all cattle, goats, and sheep are securely housed within this central enclosure, shielded from the potential threats of the wilderness. The Maasai society adheres staunchly to a patriarchal structure where the elderly Maasai men, occasionally assisted by retired elders, hold sway over significant decisions affecting the Maasai tribes. The Maasai people are devout monotheists, venerating to a deity known as the Enkai. In the traditional Maasai way of life, the culmination of one's earthly journey is marked by a distinctive absence of a formal funeral rite. Instead, the deceased is left in the open fields, offered to scavengers as part of the natural cycle. This was also practiced by the Nandi, a Kalenjin Nilotic tribe. Burial practices are reserved for the esteemed chiefs alone, as the Maasai family believed that interring with the dead is detrimental to the earth and the living. Central to the traditional Maasai lifestyle is their profound reliance on cattle, which serves as their primary sustenance. Among the Maasai, as well as several other African ethnic groups, a man's wealth is quantified in terms of his progeny and cattle holdings. Therefore, more of both is regarded as better. In this context, a man who has many cattle but has few children is considered economically disadvantaged, and vice versa. According to Maasai folklore, it is believed that God granted them dominion over all cattle on earth. This belief has contributed to the notion that raiding cattle from other tribes is an act of reclaiming what is rightfully theirs. However, this practice has substantially diminished in recent times. Between the ages of 14 and 30, young men are traditionally known as the Morans. During this life stage, they live in isolation in the bush, learning tribal customs, developing strength, courage, and endurance, traits for which the Maasai warriors are noted for throughout the world. The Maasai have a number of patrilineal clans grouped into classes or moieties. The basic institution of social integration, however, is the system of age sets. Under this system, groups of the same age are circumcised and initiated into adulthood during the same open initiation period. The age set thus formed is a permanent grouping lasting the life of its members. They move up the hierarchy of grades, each lasting approximately 15 years, including those of junior warriors, senior warriors, and junior elders until they become the senior elders authorized to make decisions for the tribe. The traditional Maasai cuisine is grounded in 6 fundamental ingredients, which is meat, blood, milk, fat, honey, and even tree barks. Fresh and curdled milk are both the integral components of their diet, with the former often sipped from calabashes and occasionally blended with fresh cattle blood. The blood is carefully obtained through a small incision to the jugular vein and is primarily used as a ceremonial beverage or as a nourishment for the ailing. On special occasions and during significant ceremonies, bulls, oxen, and lambs are chosen for slaughter, providing a source of meat. The various byproducts of these animals, such as the hides and skins, are used as bedding materials, while cow dung is used as a building material applied as a protective layer on the walls of their houses. The Maasai lifestyle is intrinsically intertwined with their cattle, representing the profound connection to their sustenance and traditions. More recently, the Maasai have diversified their diet by incorporating crops from farming, including maize meal, rice, cabbage, and a variety of other food crops. Maasai clothing reflects a diversity influenced by gender, age, and location. A notable shift occurred in the 1960s when the Maasai gradually transitioned from using sheepskin, calf hides, and animal skins to more commercially available materials. Young Morans, for instance, wear black attire for a period following their circumcision ceremony. Nonetheless, the Maasai hold a particular affinity to the color red. In addition to red, you'll find clothing adorned with black, blue, and checked patterns, strips, and a variety of multicolored African fabrics. The traditional cloth, which is worn across the body, is known as the shuka. The Maasai women regularly weave and make jewelry from beads, which play an essential part in the ornamentation of their body. Ear piercing and the stretching of earlobes are also an important part of Maasai beauty, and both men and women wear metal hoops on their stretched earlobes. Among the Maasai people, both men and women engage in head shaving to mark significant life transitions such as circumcision and marriage. This act symbolizes a fresh beginning as individuals move from one chapter of life to the next. An exception to this tradition is reserved for the Maasai warriors, who are permitted to maintain their long hair, carefully weaving it into slender braided strands. When Maasai children reach the age of about 3 months, they are granted their names, and their heads are meticulously shaved, leaving only a distinctive tuft of hair reminiscent of a cockade. This tuft extends from the nape of the neck to the forehead. Young boys undergo another head shaving ritual just 2 days before their circumcision ceremony. Following this rite of passage, young warriors will allow their hair to grow freely, dedicating a considerable effort into styling and maintaining their unique hairstyles. In the rich Maasai culture, music takes the center stage, characterized by the intricate rhythms and harmonious choruses. A chorus of vocalists weaves a tapestry of harmonies guided by a song leader known as the Oloranyani, who carries the melody. The Oloranyani is typically the most skilled in rendering a particular song, although multiple individuals may step forward as song leaders. The performance commences with the Oloranyani singing a line or a title referred to as the number of the song. In response, the group unites in a collective acknowledgement, and the Oloranyani's voice soars above the rhythmic throat singing of the ensemble. Each song follows a distinct number structure rooted in a call and response. Commonly, the rhythms embrace the variations of 5/4, 6/4, and 3/4 time signatures. The lyrics adhere to a recurring rhythm or themes and are often faithfully repeated over time. As the Maasai sing, their neck movements become a part of the spectacle, tilting forward in exhalation and arching backward during exhalation. The result is a mesmerizing polyphonic syncopation. Women in the Maasai society contribute their own unique melodies, including lullabies, lilting hymns, and songs celebrating their sons. The numbers, or call and response patterns, often consist of the repetition of nonsensical phrases and monophonic melodies. Repeated phrases following each verse are melodically rendered in descending scales, and it is a characteristic for the female singers to respond to their own verses. When a gathering of Maasai women comes together, songs and dances come alive in their vibrant and collective expression. The Maasai people adhere to a monotheistic belief system centered around their deity, known as the Engai. This divine entity is predominantly benevolent, with manifestations reflecting various emotions through distinct colors. These colors hold specific interpretations. For example, black and dark blue symbolize a benevolent and favorable disposition towards humanity, while color red is associated with divine irritation. Enkai takes on two primary manifestations. One, the Enkai Narok, or the Black God. This benevolent deity is beloved and brings forth blessings, including lush grasslands and prosperity. Enkai Narok is often associated with thunder and rain, signifying the arrival of abundant nourishment. The other god is Enkai Nanyokie, or the Red God. This vengeful deity, in contrast, is linked to hardships such as famine and hunger. Enkai Nanyokie manifests through lightning and is closely associated with the arid dry season. The Maasai's profound reverence for cattle traces its roots to their religious beliefs and their connection to Engai. It is worth noting that today a significant number of Maasai have embraced Christianity and a smaller portion follows the Islamic faith. Spiritual leaders known as the Oloiboni or Loibon were common in each Maasai family. Oloiboni had mystical as well as medicinal healing powers. They predicted the future and healed people from physical, mental, and spiritual illnesses. The Maasai way of life faces modern challenges, from environmental changes to the pressures of a rapidly evolving world. Some Maasai are embracing education to bridge the gap between their traditional heritage and the demands of the modern world. Across the Maasai lands, There is a growing movement to protect the environment and preserve their unique way of life. The Maasai, with their resilience and determination, stand at crossroads, facing the challenge of preserving their culture while adapting to the changing times. In this ever-changing world, the Maasai of Kenya and Tanzania serve as a reminder of the enduring strength of indigenous cultures, the importance of tradition, and the power of community. Thank you, and see you in the next video.